The underestimated fleet commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense station, gazing at the motley collection of vessels that humanity called its defense fleet. A decade had passed since first contact with the Valkyrie Dominion, a sophisticated spacefaring civilization that had welcomed humanity into the galactic community with patronizing benevolence. The Dominion had graciously permitted humans to occupy their own solar system and a handful of nearby resource-poor systems deemed worthless by the galactic elite. "Commander, the Dominion Envoy's shuttle has docked," reported Lieutenant Rivera through the station's comms. "They're requesting your presence for the inspection." Elena sighed, straightening her uniform. These quarterly safety inspections were nothing more than thinly veiled opportunities for the Valkyrie to remind humanity of its place in the cosmic hierarchy. "On my way," she responded, taking one last look at the fleet. The vessels weren't much to look at. The flagship, Resilience, had begun its life as a deep space mining platform before being retrofitted with cobbled-together defensive systems. The rest of the fleet consisted of repurposed cargo haulers, scientific vessels, and even a few luxury space yachts donated by billionaires after the Treaty of Proxima restricted humanity from building purpose-designed warships. Envoy Thaxos was waiting when Elena entered the conference room, his iridescent scales shimmering under the lights. Two Valkyrie security officers stood at attention behind him, their expressions a mixture of boredom and disdain. "Commander Reyes," Thaxos greeted, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat English. "I trust Earth's defensive capabilities remain adequate." "We maintain the minimum required fleet as outlined in the treaty," Elena replied carefully. "Though I should note that our request for permission to upgrade our communication arrays has gone unanswered for 3 months. Thaxos waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Such matters require proper review. Security concerns, you understand." His multiple eyes blinked in sequence, a Valkyrie expression of amusement. "Though I fail to see how improving those vessels would make any significant difference." Elena bit back a retort. The Valkyrie, with their sleek, standardized warships and perfectly coordinated fleet tactics, had never bothered to understand human engineering philosophy. To them, the human approach of repurposing, jury-rigging, and improvising was primitive, laughable even. "Perhaps we could discuss the increasing Nixari raids in the Tau Ceti mining colony," Elena suggested, changing the subject. "We've lost 3 ore shipments this month alone. The Dominion has more pressing concerns than piracy in a tertiary resource sector," Thaxos replied. "You humans have been granted self-defense privileges. Use them." "With what?" "You've restricted our weapons development, denied our requests for shield technology, and limited our FTL drive capabilities." Thaxos's scales flushed a deep purple. Amusement or contempt, Elena couldn't tell. "Commander, humanity is young, impetuous. The restrictions in the treaty exist for the greater harmony of the galactic community. Your species has a concerning history of violence." "So we've been told," Elena replied stiffly. The inspection proceeded with the usual formalities. Thaxos and his entourage toured the station, making derisive comments about the human habit of manual overrides, redundant systems, and the primitive aesthetics of functionality over form. As they passed the engineering section, Chief Engineer Dr. Kenji Tanaka was elbow-deep in an open panel, surrounded by a chaotic array of tools and spare parts. "What exactly are you doing?" Thaxos asked, genuine confusion in his voice. Kenji glanced up, pushing his safety goggles onto his forehead, modifying the power distribution system to handle load imbalances more efficiently. "But this isn't standardized equipment," Thaxos observed. "That capacitor appears to be from an obsolete mining drill." "It is," Kenji confirmed with a grin. "Works better than the original. We've improved power efficiency by 23%. Thaxos made a dismissive clicking sound. Curious approach, though hardly elegant. After the Valkyrie departed, Elena called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. The admirals, generals, and intelligence directors connected via secure channels, their faces grim on the display screens surrounding her. They're planning something, Admiral Chen stated without preamble. Our deep space observation posts have detected unusual Dominion fleet movements near the Sirius Gateway. The Dominion claims it's a training exercise, General Okonkwo added. But our intelligence suggests otherwise. We've intercepted fragmentary communications indicating a possible containment operation. Elena's blood ran cold. They're coming. For us. It appears so, Intelligence Director Sharma confirmed. The Nexari raids were likely a test, observing our response capabilities, which we failed by Dominion standards, Elena said. But why now? We've adhered to the treaty. We're no threat to them. Actually, Dr. Tanaka interjected, that might not be entirely true. Our R&D teams have been pushing the boundaries of what's permitted under the treaty. The adaptive shield modulation we've been developing, the variable geometry FTL drive. They're technically within guidelines, but they represent approaches the Dominion hasn't explored. And they've noticed, Sharma added. We've detected increased surveillance of our research facilities. Admiral Chen leaned forward. How long do we have? 3 days, maybe 4, before their fleet reaches the outer system defense perimeter, Okonkwo replied. Elena stood, her decision made. Implement Contingency Phoenix, all ships to battle stations, and contact the Proxima, Alpha Centauri, and Tau Ceti colonies. We'll need every vessel we can muster. Commander, Chen cautioned, the treaty explicitly forbids fleet consolidation. Beyond, the treaty is already dead, Admiral, Elena interrupted. We just haven't received the formal notification yet. If we're going down, we do it on our terms. Over the next 72 hours, Earth's makeshift defense force transformed. Mining vessels attached improvised armor plating salvaged from decommissioned space stations. Research ships modified their scanning equipment into electronic countermeasure systems. Civilian transports were hastily fitted with point defense turrets originally designed for asteroid mining. The Resilience itself underwent the most dramatic transformation. Dr. Tanaka and his engineering teams worked around the clock, implementing modifications that had been theorized but never tested. The ship's reactor, originally designed for cracking planetoid cores, was reconfigured to power experimental shield emitters. Its massive grappling systems, once used for moving asteroids, were rewired to generate a crude but potentially effective tractor beam. On the 4th day, the Dominion fleet emerged from the Sirius Gateway, a force of 32 identical cruisers, their hulls gleaming with the distinctive pearlescent sheen of advanced alloys. Each was a masterpiece of standardized design, optimized through thousands of years of refinement. Elena stood on the bridge of the Resilience, watching the enemy approach on the main view screen. Around her, the bridge crew worked at stations, cobbled together from diverse technologies, some salvaged, some borrowed, some invented out of desperate necessity. Incoming transmission from the Dominion flagship, Lieutenant Rivera announced. The screen shifted to display Supreme Commander Zalthex, his scales a brilliant gold denoting his high rank. Multiple medals adorned his ceremonial armor. Humanity, he began without preamble. Your species has been deemed a potential destabilizing element in the galactic order. The Council has authorized this containment operation to ensure compliance with civilized standards. Elena met his gaze steadily. We have violated no terms of the treaty, Supreme Commander. Your violations are of spirit rather than letter, Zalthex replied. Your continued attempts to circumvent technological restrictions through creative interpretations cannot be tolerated. The harmony of the galaxy requires standardization, predictability. And if we refuse to be contained? Zalthex's scales rippled in what might have been surprise. Refuse? With what? Those retrofitted cargo haulers? Those mining platforms with weapons hastily attached? Commander Reyes, our sensors have analyzed your fleet. They are not warships, they are junk. Elena smiled thinly. Perhaps, but they're our junk. You have 1 hour to surrender, Zalthex stated. After which, we will disable your vessels and establish direct Dominion control over your systems until your species demonstrates sufficient maturity to rejoin the galactic community. The transmission ended, and Elena turned to her crew. All ships, battle stations, implement Mosaic Protocol. Commander, Chief Tactical Officer Diaz asked, are we really going to fight 32 Dominion cruisers with our, what did he call them? Junk ships? Elena's expression hardened. Throughout human history, we've faced enemies with superior numbers, superior technology, superior resources. And yet, here we stand. She gestured to the fleet displayed on the tactical screen. Those ships might be retrofits and jury rigs, but they represent something the Dominion can't understand. Our refusal to be bound by convention, our ability to adapt, to improvise. She addressed the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Commander Reyes. The Dominion believes they know what we're capable of. They've analyzed our ships, categorized our weapons, calculated our chances. They've determined we cannot win. She paused. They're wrong. Because they're measuring us by their standards. Standardization, optimization, predictability. But humanity has never thrived by following the expected path. We survive by adapting, by finding solutions where none should exist. The bridge fell silent as her words hung in the air. We have 1 hour, she continued, 1 hour to show the galaxy that humanity will not be contained, that we will not surrender our future to those who fear what they cannot control. She straightened her shoulders. Prepare for battle. Reyes out. As the countdown to confrontation ticked away, the human fleet dispersed, taking positions that appeared random and uncoordinated to Dominion observers. But there was method in the apparent chaos, a strategy born from humanity's long history of asymmetric warfare, where the outgunned and outmatched found ways to defeat superior forces. The hour passed, and across the void, the perfect formation of Dominion cruisers began to advance. The impossible victory, the Valkyrie fleet approached in textbook formation, a testament to millennia of refined military doctrine. 32 identical cruisers moved with perfect coordination, their formation optimized for maximum sensor coverage and overlapping fields of fire. To Supreme Commander Zalthex, the outcome was a mathematical certainty. The human vessels, with their haphazard modifications and improvised weapons, posed no meaningful threat to his disciplined armada. Tactical assessment, Zalthex ordered, his scales shifting to battle readiness orange. Human fleet maintaining scattered formation, his tactical officer reported. No discernible pattern. Their weapon systems are powering up, but energy signatures are inconsistent. Many appear to be using incompatible technologies spliced together. Zalthex's tertiary eyes blinked in sequence, the Valkyrie equivalent of a dismissive snort. As expected. Begin standard pacification procedure. Disable their propulsion systems first. Across the vacuum aboard the Resilience, Commander Elena Reyes watched the Dominion cruisers approach. Unlike the rigidly structured Valkyrie command deck, the bridge of the human flagship hummed with controlled chaos. Crew members called out status reports, screens flickered with data streams, and the occasional spark flew from overloaded circuits. They're targeting our engines, reported Tactical Officer Diaz, studying the sensor readings. Standard Dominion protocol. Immobilize, then disable weapons, then board. Elena nodded. Just as we predicted. All ships, execute Phase 1. Throughout the human fleet, captains acknowledged the order. The response that followed would have horrified any Valkyrie fleet commander. The mining vessel Deep Horizon deliberately vented atmosphere from its port side, using the explosive decompression to alter its trajectory without engaging engines. The research vessel Galileo activated its experimental sensor array, not to scan the enemy but to project false sensor readings, creating phantom ships where none existed. Most shocking of all, 6 smaller craft suddenly ejected what appeared to be escape pods, but these pods contained no passengers. Instead, they were packed with mining explosives and rudimentary guidance systems, improvised torpedoes programmed to home in on the distinctive energy signatures of Dominion engines. What is this? Zalthex demanded, as his tactical display became a confusion of unexpected movements and anomalous readings. Correct the sensor malfunctions. "It's not a malfunction, Supreme Commander," his science officer replied, mandibles clicking in agitation. "The humans they're not following any recognized combat doctrine." The first salvo from the Dominion cruisers sliced through space, precision energy beams targeting the engines of the largest human vessels. But many found only empty space, where ships had been moments before, while others struck vessels only to be absorbed or deflected by improvised shielding made from repurposed mining reflectors. Aboard the Resilience, Engineer Tanaka worked frantically at his station, rerouting power through systems never designed to work together. "The shield modification is holding," he called out, his hands dancing across controls. "Redistributing power from non-essential systems." "What counts as non-essential?" Elena asked, as the ship shuddered under a glancing hit. Tanaka grinned manically. "At this point? Life support to unoccupied decks, recreational facilities, long-range communications, and I've diverted power from the coffee machines in the mess hall." "The crew won't like that," Elena remarked wryly. "They'll like being vaporized even less," Tanaka shot back. The battle evolved in ways the Dominion had never anticipated. Human ships refused to maintain consistent patterns, making targeting predictions increasingly difficult. When Dominion beams did strike true, they often encountered layered defenses, ablative plating that scattered the beam's energy, improvised magnetic fields that deflected particle weapons, and in some cases, sacrificial outer hulls designed to be shed under fire. "This is impossible," Zalthex's tactical officer declared as the first Dominion cruiser went dark, its systems overloaded by what appeared to be a modified electromagnetic pulse delivered by a converted science vessel. "Their technology is inferior. Their ships are junk." "And yet," Zalthex observed coldly, "that junk is proving remarkably effective." The battle reached its turning point when the freighter Star Nomad, its cargo holds emptied of everything except improvised explosives, executed a suicidal ramming maneuver against one of the Dominion's command cruisers. But rather than a simple collision, the freighter's captain triggered a precisely calculated detonation that compromised the cruiser's reactor containment without destroying the ship itself. The resulting power surge cascaded through the Dominion vessel's standardized systems, overloading circuits and leaving it dead in space. Elena seized the opportunity. "All ships commence Phase 2. Focus fire on targets Alpha through Delta." The human fleet converged on 4 key Dominion vessels, concentrating their disparate weapons. Mining lasers originally designed to cut through asteroid rock proved surprisingly effective at slicing through standardized Dominion hull plating. Grappling systems meant for towing disabled ships deployed as weapons, latching onto Dominion vessels and disrupting their carefully balanced formation. Most devastating of all was the Resilience itself. Tanaka had modified the ship's massive mining drill into what he dubbed a structural resonator, a weapon that matched the harmonic frequency of Dominion hull materials, causing them to vibrate until molecular bonds began to fail. "Target locked," Diaz announced. "Firing resonator." The weapon engaged, invisible but devastating. On the view screen, Elena watched as the targeted Dominion cruiser began to develop hairline fractures across its once perfect hull. "How is this possible?" came Zalthex's voice over an open channel, disbelief evident even through the translator. "Your ships are retrofitted civilian vessels." "That's precisely why," Elena replied. "Every ship in our fleet is unique. Every solution, improvised. You've spent millennia perfecting a standardized fleet. Identical ships with identical strengths and identical weaknesses. We've created an armada where no 2 ships are the same, where no 2 captains fight the same way." Across the battlefield, the tide had turned decisively. 7 Dominion cruisers now drifted powerless. 3 more had been forced to retreat with critical damage. The remainder found themselves caught in a chaotic web of unconventional attacks and unpredictable maneuvers. "Supreme Commander," the Dominion's second-in-command urged, "we must withdraw and reassess. This conflict is not proceeding according to any established parameters." Zalthex's scales had paled to the ashen gray of uncertainty, a color rarely seen on a Valkyrie of his rank. "Regroup at coordinates Echo 9. Prepare for..." His order was cut short as the Resilience's resonator found the frequency of his flagship's reactor shielding. Warning alarm shrieked across the Dominion command deck. "Reactor containment failing," a technician reported. "Standardized fail-safes not responding." Of course they weren't responding. The fail-safes had been designed to handle standardized threats, not a weapon that exploited the very standardization that the Dominion had relied upon for security. "All ships, emergency withdrawal," Zalthex ordered, his voice hollow with the unprecedented taste of defeat. "Return to Sirius Gateway." The surviving Dominion vessels disengaged, their once perfect formation now a ragged retreat. Of the 32 cruisers that had entered the engagement, 18 limped away with varying degrees of damage. 7 had been completely disabled, 5 had been destroyed outright, an outcome that would have been statistically impossible according to Dominion military models. As the last Dominion ship disappeared toward the gateway, a ragged cheer went up across the human fleet. Ships that had no business surviving a confrontation with the galaxy's dominant military power had not only survived, they had won. On the bridge of the Resilience, Elena allowed herself a moment of relief before addressing her crew. "This isn't over," she cautioned. "The Dominion won't accept this defeat easily. They'll return with a larger force with new tactics." "Let them come," Diaz replied, voicing what many felt. "We'll be ready." Elena nodded. "Dispatch messenger. Ships to all colonies. I want every engineer, every scientist, every tinkerer working on new modifications, new adaptations. The Dominion now knows we can fight, but they still don't understand how we think." In the days that followed, the news spread throughout human space and beyond. The species that had been relegated to the galactic margins, whose ships had been mocked as junk heaps and flying scrapyards, had defeated the mighty Valkyrie Dominion against impossible odds. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in the same conference room where Envoy Thaxos had once dismissed humanity's capabilities. Across from her sat not Thaxos but a Valkyrie High Counselor, the iridescent ceremonial robes and elaborate scale painting marking her as one of the highest authorities in the Dominion. The Dominion formally recognizes humanity's sovereign right to defend its territories, the counselor stated, placing a data crystal on the table between them. "The Treaty of Proxima is hereby amended to remove restrictions on your technological development." Elena accepted the crystal with measured grace. "And the reason for this sudden change in position?" The counselor's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a thoughtful blue. "For 10,000 years, the Dominion has believed that standardization was the path to perfection, that uniformity brought strength." She gestured to a view screen showing human ships being repaired, each one unique, each one a testament to improvisation. "Your victory has forced us to reconsider this philosophy. You could simply return with a larger fleet," Elena pointed out, "overwhelm us with numbers." "We could," the counselor acknowledged, "but our analysis suggests the outcome would be the same, merely at a larger scale. Your adaptive approach would counter whatever standardized response we developed." She leaned forward. "More importantly, several other species within the Dominion have begun questioning our standardized approach. Your victory has sparked innovation." The word seemed to cause the counselor physical discomfort. "The Galactic Academy has created a new field of study," she continued reluctantly. "Adaptive engineering, learning from human improvisation." Her multifaceted eyes fixed on Elena. "The Dominion wishes to learn from humanity, not contain it." After the counselor departed, Elena met with her command staff in the observation deck, overlooking the fleet that had saved human independence. "So we're not going to war?" Admiral Chen asked, sounding almost disappointed. "Not today," Elena replied, "but we'll continue preparing as if we were. The Dominion respects strength and innovation. We need to show them both." Dr. Tanaka was already scribbling notes on a tablet. "I've had some ideas about adapting Dominion shield technology to work with our power systems. If we integrate their crystalline matrices with our modular approach." Elena smiled as her officers began excitedly discussing possibilities that would have been treaty violations mere days ago. The ships that surrounded them might have been called junk, retrofitted, repurposed, and jury-rigged, but they represented humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to improvise, to find solutions where none should exist. The Dominion had learned a costly lesson. In a galaxy of standardization, humanity's scrap-heap armada had proven that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the most advanced technology or the most perfect design. It's the refusal to accept limitations, the creativity to work with what you have, and the courage to face impossible odds with whatever tools are at hand. As she gazed at the fleet, Elna couldn't help but wonder what other impossible victories might lie in humanity's future among the stars.